Okay, so blended learning is very much a new sort of term in 21st century education. And the definition is, as yet, it's not defined in the Oxford Dictionary because it's a new term. So there's lots of definitions floating around in the cybersphere, but the most official definition that we could find was an integrated instructional approach that combines face-to-face classroom methods with computer-mediated activities. So what's that mean? We are learning today how to blend technology with face-to-face instruction. It's not just enough to have a computer in the classroom anymore. And as Nigel said, we want the computer to be a silent resource in a sense that it shouldn't be a big deal. It should just help you teach. It should just be something that the children use, just like they're using their pen and their paper. They use a computer. It's not a big deal anymore. It's part of their life. And it's very important that we learn how to utilize the teachers with the technology. Because if we're not blending properly, then the children aren't going to get the right approach. So I've had lots of teachers today come and say to me, we don't have enough computers, or we've only got one computer in the classroom. And what today is about is looking at how you can blend your technology to work for you. Whether it is that you don't do any technology in school at all, but your homework is technology-based. Could be that. Whether you're just, all you've got is a mobile phone. You can get an attachment to a mobile phone that plugs into a projector or to an interactive whiteboard, and hey, you've got a device in your classroom. So there's lots and lots of ways around this, and part of what we're going to be doing today is looking at how to blend our computer-mediated activities with face-to-face classroom methods effectively. So it's not about me telling you this is how you should do it, although I will give you some tips. It's about you thinking what's going to work for me. And I know as teachers, we very, very often do not have the time to really reflect on our practice just focusing on the ICT. It's usually we're reflecting on lots and lots of issues. So today is very precious for you to actually focus on your ICT in your classroom and think, how am I going to make this work better? Okay, so it's a joint session today. Another definition, really I'm trying to make it very clear, that blended learning is taking a huge leap across America, and there's lots of blended learning schools opening. And they're called blended learning schools because half of the school is done online. Okay, so they will have labs like this where children come and they learn online, and then they will have the face-to-face instruction. Some schools are completely online. Harvard and Stanford are now doing courses online, which is amazing. So for the first time ever in the world, anybody can access Harvard or Stanford to be educated. Definitely with higher education, blended learning is really, really taking a stronghold. And you will see in the next 10 years that almost all, practically now 50% of universities are blended learning focused. But in the next 10 years, 100% of universities will use blended learning as a key element of their programs. So it's something that we need to be familiar with as primary educators, because we can't just expect children to suddenly jump once they go to secondary school to this online environment without giving them the tools to do this and without exposing them to some of these elements. So again, looking at blended learning, and this is a bit of the boring bit of stuff that you have to know. You've got the brick and mortar and you've got the online learning, okay? The brick and mortar is really the thing that applies to all of us today, because we're all in brick and mortar institutions. We're all in schools. No one here is running an online school. I know Chabad, for instance, they have people all around the world who are shluchim, and they have online school, pure online school for their children. Their children do not go to brick and mortar schools. Their whole school environment is online. It's amazing. It's an amazing school system. And it'd be interesting to see how the children react to it, because they don't have the social integration, but maybe they do. It's interesting to do studies about this as well. But we're looking at these two. And in these two strands, you've got rotation model and flex model. Then over here, you've got self-blend and enriched virtual model. These, I don't want to spend too long on this, but what this means is that the children are literally responsible for their own learning, so they're blending online. But this is the one that you're going to be probably using the most. Rotational model. You have stations. Some of you will have in your classes stations where you have 5 or 6 computers or 5 or 6 iPads, okay? And the children will rotate to that station at some point during the day. That's a model that is used very successfully. Sometimes that's used, I went to a school in America where every school, it was called a blended learning school, and they had a bank of computers in every classroom. They didn't use it to teach with, they used it purely for assessment. So all the assessment was done on the computers. Every single aspect of assessment was done on computers. So the teachers weren't really assessing. They gave the children virtual programs, lots of programs for maths, for English. They haven't got one yet for Kodesh, but they're developing. And the children will sit there and go through these rigorous programs, and it corrects them and it will define them a grade, and then the teacher sits with them, looks at their marks, and then teaches them with the face-to-face instruction. That's how they were using it. But there's lots of different ways you can use technologies based on the station model, which those of you who teach EYFS or Key Stage 1 will be quite familiar with the rotation model. Yeah? Labs. So a lot of schools still have computer labs. Now, believe it or not, they are actually quite outdated. To have a room like this in a school, if you're actually moving to a new school, probably in Ilford, they probably won't have an ICT suite anymore, because technology is so integrated into the classrooms that everybody will have. The newest thing is to have a mobile device, so you can literally have your iPad and walk from class to class, or move around, or go from the inside to the outside area. Okay, mobile devices. But if not, then you have your computers in the classroom. But some schools have a lab, so you would have to think about how to blend your learning when you go to the lab, for instance. And there's all sorts of logistics involved with that. Flipped classroom model, my esteemed colleague Jeremy is giving at the same time his keynote on flipped classroom. Just so that you don't lose out, I'll tell you a little bit about what flipped classroom is. Flipped classroom is when you literally turn the classroom around. So you, instead of teaching the children all the knowledge in the classroom, you teach them online. Now you can do this through 2 ways. There's something called Khan Academy. Khan Academy, if you want to look it up now, I don't mind if you're on your phones or on your devices. Khan Academy, spelled K-H-A-N, Khan, and then Academy, is a website that is K-H-A-N, that's it, and then Academy. If you Google it, it's a whole website that has pre-recorded videos on every single subject area of the curriculum. So if you, it's not for Kodesh, but what Jeremy has done in Torah School is that he has started to do a Kodesh Khan Academy. Okay, so let's say you're teaching script, you put on a video, you record yourself teaching. So you record yourself, either you can video you, like I could video me teaching now, or you can do a screencast, so you can just record what's happening on the computer, and the children watch that at home. So you could do a video about Rosh Hashanah. Their homework is to watch the video at home. When they come into the classroom, you have your discussion and your practical work. So you're actually doubling up your teaching time, which as Kodesh teachers, we have very, very little teaching time. I think there might be some chairs in there. We have very, very little teaching time. So instead of spending a whole lesson teaching about Rosh Hashanah that they probably heard year in and year out, do your video or send them a link to a video about Rosh Hashanah, let them do a presentation on it or let them watch it at home, and then you can start your lesson from a very different standpoint with your children already very, very engaged, because they already have engaged with the resources, and you're opening up a whole new world to them. So flipped classroom model is working really successfully, especially for Kodesh teachers, because we are so stuck for time. And then you have the individual rotation model. That's when every child has their own device, or if you have just one device in the classroom, how do you manage that? But if every child has their own device and they all have computers, how do you manage that then? How do you blend the learning effectively? So there's all these different structures, and what we have to do is learn how to use it. And we're all learning. That's why this conference exists, because there isn't a real model. Do it like this or do it like that. Every school is experimenting and trying to find their way at the moment. And probably within the next 5 to 10 years, there will be schools that are proper teaching schools. In fact, we've got one this afternoon that we're linking up to that is doing blended learning very successfully in the classroom. Okay, so moving on.
This session called?
Pardon? It's for everyone. It's a link up. It will be for everyone, yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to, I always find that if I can find someone better to tell you about blended learning, I will. And this you have to excuse the language, the accent, sorry. It's a French accent. It's a little bit hard to understand, but I just felt that he explained blended learning much better than I can to you. So just wait for it to load up. But if any of you have seen the Khan Academy style videos, it is very interesting, and it'll be great to make something like that for Kodesh teachers, which I will show you in a minute. I don't know why this isn't coming up. Ah, here we go.
Talking about blended learning environment, and what is...
See what I mean by the accent? So just bear with the accent.
What is blended learning in general? And part 2 will be about the benefits of such a learning environment. So, part 1, what is blended learning? Well, it's a combination of 2 models. The first one, we all know it. Teacher, students, a regular classroom setting with the board. Basically, the teacher is delivering content and leading the instruction. It's a traditional model that has been in place for a long time, with the teacher facing the students and the students facing the teacher in a brick-and-mortar school setting. This model is called a face-to-face model, since we are facing each other in the physical world. So, this is the first component of the blended learning, that very traditional model of instruction. Now, something happens, and we all know it. It's called internet, and that changed a few things. Now students can access content online, cloud-based, which means they do not need to be in school anymore to access instruction, or to actually work together with a teacher. And that changed a few things. They can work at home, in a coffee place. They can actually almost work in the school bus on the way to school. Wherever they are, as long as they have internet, they can access that content. This model is called online teaching, since you are learning and teaching online. It's a very common model in higher education these days. So, what is blended learning? Well, it's a combination of those 2 models, the face-to-face model and the online teaching model. Now, let's have a look at an example. You're going to have students watch a presentation, and they can be watching that presentation on blended learning, for example. With cloud-based devices, they do not need to be in school anymore to hear your lecture. They can watch your presentation pretty much anywhere and wherever they are, as long as they can access that content. And then, you can have a discussion on that presentation in school with a teacher monitoring the exchanges and leading higher thinking activities. This is not just about discussions though. It could be a group project, it could be a writing assignment. All those tasks can be conducted in both environments, face-to-face in school and /or online on internet. Blended learning is a combination of those 2 models. So, what blended learning is about is how much you want your teaching to happen online and how much you want it to be face-to-face. It could be a teacher or a school decision as well. What matters the most, though, is to create a community of learners where students can exchange, discuss, and work together on both environments, face-to-face and online. What are the benefits of such a learning environment? Well, this is going to be part 2 of the discussion.
I'm not going to watch part 2, but I will put it on my on the online forum for later. But why that's interesting is I think graphically shows you very effectively what blended learning can do for you. As you said, children can work. They don't have to work always in school. Okay? What's happening is there's a shift in education at the moment, and that's why we're all here today, because we're sensing that. We're sensing there's a shift. We're sensing that there's a cloud-based internet, and how can we use that to be more effective teachers? We don't only have to teach in school. The barriers between home and school is very blurred now, and it's a much more holistic view. Even shul, it's sort of blurring into one. You've got tribe coming into schools, you've got cheder, everything's mushing, and the internet can allow that to happen. So imagine being able to have some online recorded videos that you've made, or that you show them to sites that can open up their horizons, learning about, for example, Rosh Hashanah. Then they can do a digital project about Rosh Hashanah collaboratively. So on something like Google Docs, you can have a group of 2 or 3 children working on a Google presentation together in their own houses at the same time. And if you wanted to, you could even monitor them from your own house at the same time if you're an extra enthusiastic teacher and wanted to work after hours. you could actually mark their presentation while they're doing their homework. Okay, so Google Docs is a great cloud-based app that's free that children could collaborate on together. So let's say you say, I know all of you have probably at some point said we're going to do a play, right? All of us at some point have probably said we're going to do a play. Get together in your groups, you're going to make a play for Ivrit or for Purim or for Hanukkah. Instead of getting them to work together in school, you can say go in Google Docs, you're all going to log in, they will need an email account to do that, but you can set them up a school email account. And you can say, all of you log into Google Docs tonight at 6 o'clock. You've all got to log in at the same time and work on your play together. You can all input your information and you can work on a play together. And that's real online learning. And it's utilising your time, because then you don't have to spend your class time with them writing out a play. You can actually teach them more about Purim. So when I'm saying about time, and some of you will say, you know, I don't have time to start doing videos on top of everything else I have to do. You're now telling me that I have to sit there and do videos, okay? Yes, it is a pain. You're going to have to go and find websites, or you're going to have to find out how to make a video, okay? Or it takes time to search for content, but you're doing that anyway. You're spending time online searching for content when you're teaching. But once you've found it, you're actually stretching your time. You're stretching your teaching time. So I want you to just think and discuss amongst yourselves about how you feel that your time could be stretched by using blended learning. Just have a minute or two to think about how you can stretch your time, what possibilities there could be for you to utilise some of what we've just looked at in your classroom. Just spend a couple of minutes on that.
Let's say on daily routine, family, I work in groups, working on whichever aspect. The thing is that they're doing it rather than writing one, they're doing it outside the classroom as part of their work. But when they're bringing it into the classroom, more than, let's say, able to bring it with any board, actually looking for that very so you can then look
anyone got anything to share about what you've been discussing? Anyone want to throw out anything?
Yeah, we were discussing that it would be a good idea.
Okay. Can we all try and let's go back?
Well, I teach modern Hebrew.
Right.
And for me, it would be very good. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't teach primary, I teach high school.
Okay.
So for me, it's even better. If I put them in groups and I tell them, right, you go home, and each one does, let's say we do daily routine or family or whatever it is in Hebrew. And if they go home, they already do that activity and prepare it. So, like Kate was saying, they can submit it to me. I can see it beforehand. And once they come to the class, I can either put one of them on the board, or they can do it in the front. We can have a discussion about it. We can mark it.
Exactly.
That is, I think it's a very good idea.
Part of the problem, and that's led me brilliantly, you must have known what was coming next, because part of the problem with discipline in schools, particularly in high schools, we're having a high school conference soon, so come to that one, is that the pace of your lessons are too slow. Don't forget that these children are used to multitasking on about 4 or 5 different devices at a time, keeping up with new developments, Twitter, QR codes, this, that, and the other. They're way ahead of us. They know what's going on far, far before we do. Okay? They are used to being bombarded by things all the time, every minute, and they keep up with it. They're on their phone, they're on the computer, they're watching TV. Okay? That's how they live. Even if you're not a school or an environment that has a TV or a computer at home, very often they are on a device of some sort, an iPad or a phone. Okay? And they are used to fast and colour and visual learning. And then you come to And if you say to them, you know what, I'm not going to go for Rosh Hashanah again. Go home, make a presentation about Rosh Hashanah. I want to know everything you know. Send it to me. Then I can read through all the presentations. I can pick out a couple that are really good. And I'll see what you all don't know. And that's what I'm going to teach you tomorrow. Then you've got your children engaged. Then you won't have discipline problems because the children want to learn what you're going to teach them. Okay? So you're assessing, you've got the children involved, and they really feel that you are speaking their language, that you're understanding them. That if they can't relate to you and they feel that you don't relate to them, they're just going to be not interested in the bricks and mortar that we were talking about before. They're just not going to be interested in coming to school. So ingredient 3, what is the third ingredient to blended learning? I can honestly tell you that when you use online learning, 100% of the children are engaged. In fact, I was at a course a couple of days ago, and we were watching a teacher teach a class of children, year 1 class, and they're all sitting on the carpet. I'm sure we've all had experience, and I'm not saying it's bad to do that. It's absolutely not. I've done it millions of times in my life where I've had all the children in front of me on the carpet, and I love it, and we're telling a story. However, you guarantee that not 100% of those children on the carpet are engaged all the time. Maybe 90%, if you've got an outstanding teacher, maybe 95%, but you will never ever get 100% engagement. With online learning, you will have 100% engagement because the children cannot continue without them engaging with the device. They'll just sit and watch a screen. And I guarantee you that they won't want to not engage because it's a computer and it's exciting. The minute I come into a school with, I don't have my iPad, the minute I just walk in with an iPad, it's unbelievable what happens. I don't have to use the iPad. I walk into a corridor. It was in Ilford. I think it was in Ilford with Deborah sitting in the corridor, and a whole load of kids came by and they're like, oh, you've got an iPad. They started to talk to me. They wanted to talk to me just because I had an iPad. I wasn't teaching with it. I just had it, and they were just... that you could see the desire for them to want to use it, okay? So you've got your children the minute you walk in with your device, and you will have them 100% engaged. Not only that, but they're learning at their own pace. It's individualized learning. Children can move on according to when they're ready to. So they own the learning. Instead of me feeding, like I'm doing now, feeding information to a generic audience, some of you actually are probably a bit bored at this point because you already know this, and some of you are very interested, and some of you want to move on. If I did this so it was an individual presentation, you could all move at your own pace, then you could control the learning, you can control the amount of information that's coming in. As was mentioned from Nigel, I think, you have instant access to anywhere across the whole globe. So why not Skype a software in Israel when you're teaching about Sofrut? Okay, it's great to get an actual software in. So if Hashem does that, that's brilliant. But if you can't, Skype one. Why not visit the Western Wall? Visit the Kotel through, Google Maps, in the webcam, and zoom in and see the Kotel. Why not? You don't have to. You can just put a picture of the Kotel if you want. Or you can zoom in, okay? You can zoom in and see it's up to you. But you can open up the world. And again, we're promoting collaboration. Why is the word collaboration coming up so much? Because collaboration is a key tool that the children are going to need to become successful candidates for jobs in the workplace. If they can't work collaboratively, they're not going to succeed in their jobs in the future. Okay, collaborative. Take for example, Jewish Interactive. My charity works in South Africa, Israel, America, and England. We collaborate together and produce software and materials and offer training. We collaborate. There's no way, if I wasn't able to use Skype, if I wasn't able to use email, if I wasn't able to use Google Docs, if I wasn't able to use Dropbox, that my company would exist. Okay? And it's not a unique thing. Many companies work like this nowadays. Many companies are global corporations, and they need to collaborate. So we, as teachers, need to give our children the skills of collaboration from an early age. So if you look at your handouts, because this is actually quite small, this I found very interesting. Because I think at the moment, from what I've seen, it's actually probably quite small, so you can look here, but I'll read it anyway. Purposeful integration. There's a difference between using technology and integrating technology. I think some of us can say we've used technology in our classroom, but have we truly blended it? Have we truly integrated it? So statement 1, technology usage is random, arbitrary, and often an afterthought. How many of us have thought, oh, I've got another 10 minutes I'm going to put on a YouTube video? Come on, let's be honest. How many people have done that? on Chabad.org and stuck up a few videos, or in wet break, get it on. I haven't planned it. I haven't really thought about what I'm using. Okay, technology usage is a key element of your lesson, and you need to plan for the technology. It can't just be part of something that you use as an afterthought. And just doing this, just putting up on an interactive whiteboard is not using technology, it's using a colourful blackboard. That's not using technology. So if you think I'm doing it, I'm using my interactive whiteboard. If I came into a lesson and I saw you using this and you say, look, I'm using technology, I'd say, no, you're not. You're using a colourful blackboard. That's what you're doing. The children are not engaging with it. So you have to plan it and you have to make sure it's purposeful. And if there's no point for using the technology, don't use it. Don't just use it for the sake of it. Only if you can go and take a trip to the kotel and see it, rather than showing them a post of the kotel, is it worth it? So make sure it's worth it. Technology is rare or sporadically used in the classroom, or technology is a routine part of the class environment. If technology is routine, if the children are so used to using technology that it's not a big deal, they go up and they're using it all the time, it takes a lot of, makes your lesson much easier to manage, because the children are not focused on taking out the computers, and then they realise that someone forgot to charge it, and then you realise that a program isn't on. How many of us had that experience? Take out the computer and one of them isn't working, and then one of them hasn't closed it properly, and one of them hasn't saved the thing, and before you know it, your lesson's over, and you haven't done anything that you wanted to do. That's not using technology in a blended way and in an integrated way. You've got to plan. You've got to make sure that your computers are ready before the lesson. You've got to make sure your technology is working. Choose monitors in your classroom who make sure that they plug in the computers and wipe them at the end of the day. You don't have to do it. Train your children to do it. But it's about putting these processes in place so that you're prepared to use the technology and it doesn't become a hassle. It's just something that's there and it's used every day, and everyone goes and flows and it works beautifully. You can't start taking out computers in the middle of a lesson and it's just not going to work. Using technology purely for the sake of using technology, or using technology to support curricular goals and learning objectives. It's very important that when we're using the technology, we remember our aims and we remember our objectives. A lot of people come to me and they say, I don't believe in this technology rubbish. They're spending so much time using the technology, they're not learning anything. They have to be learning, and their learning should be better because of the technology. So you've got to make sure that your aims are being met by using this piece of software or by using this technology, or don't use it. You don't want to waste your teaching time. So there are very, very good tools, and I'm going to show you soon, of really showing you how to use technology so you're really, really meeting your aims. Technology is used to instruct students on content. Technology is used to engage students with content. So we're not instructing, we're engaging. That's the difference. If you take anything out from today, it's that. We're not instructing, we're not just giving over, we want to have that interactivity. Technology is used mainly by instructors. That's what I see in a lot of schools. It's better that the technology is being used by the students. You're here, but really you're here to give the technology over to your children, not for you to make brilliant PowerPoint presentations. It's because we want the children using the technology. You've got banks of computers in schools and no one's using them. The children should be sitting using the computers, making the programs, making the flashcards, making a presentation. Why should you do it? Let them do it. Do you think that, let me ask you a question, do you think they will have a deeper concept of Rosh Hashanah if they did the presentation or if you did the presentation?
They did.
Right, because they'd have to research and they'd have to learn. Okay, there's questions about can they use the internet? There are ways we can go around that. You can prepare information before them in folders, you can prepare graphics for them beforehand, and they can make their own presentation. They don't have to be online to do this. Focus on simply using technologies, or focus on using technologies to create and develop new thinking processes. More instructional time is being spent learning how to use the technology. We've discussed that. You don't want to instruct your children in your lesson how to use the computer. You're a Jewish studies teacher. Let them do that in the ICT lessons. You want to make sure that the time is being spent using the technology to learn better. Okay, technology is used solely by individuals working alone. Doesn't work. It's much better that you use technology to facilitate collaboration. I really recommend that children work in twos or groups of threes on a computer rather than one. You can have one-to-one, it's fine, but when they work collaboratively, they usually get much better results. And you see them working very nicely together. They usually manage it very, very well. In fact, even today, you're often talking to people and communicating about what you've learned rather than working on your own, because it's just a better way of learning. Technology is used to facilitate activities that are feasible or easier without technology. Technology is used to facilitate activities that would be otherwise difficult or impossible. We would never have been able to Skype someone in India when we're learning about India. Now we can. So let's do it. Why not? You know, it's just a little bit of let's Skype a school in Israel and practice Ivrit online. Then the children will really understand why they're learning Ivrit. And they'll want to, because they want to be able to speak to their friends in Israel. So I better learn, because I want to speak it. So let's Skype. Let's give them a purpose. Technology is used to deliver information. Technology is used to construct and build knowledge. We are trying to empower the children to become their own source of information and their own educators. So technology should be essential to the activity, not peripheral to the activity. So my fifth ingredient to blended learning successfully is careful planning. How can we make blended learning work? Well, that's where Jewish Interactive comes in for our Kodesh teachers.
Where did you get that?
What school are you at? Simon Marks. So you're not a member yet, but I think your Simon's planning to be. You can access this online. Most of our products are free. The only thing you're going to see today that isn't free is Shabbat Interactive, but most of our things are free online. Okay, I'm going to show you how to get it. So what we do in Jewish Interactive is we help you to facilitate your blended learning in your classroom, because what's happening as teachers is that you don't have time to often make all these amazing PowerPoint presentations, for instance. You don't have time to coordinate an entire structure for a curriculum online. So let's say we're teaching about Shabbat in year 3. We can put the program on for the children. Now this they can either do at home, and then you do the practical aspects of Shabbat in the classroom, or you can use it in the classroom. A lot of people are using this on the interactive whiteboard, again as a colourful whiteboard. It is interactive, but the best way of using this tool is in the blended learning model, where the children are logging in at home, or they're logging in on their own devices and going through this process, this journey together. All our products have been instructionally designed. What does that mean? It means that the children are going through a learning process. So they're going through a story, and they have to get something right before they go into the next level, and there's directed feedback. So they have to learn. They're not going to not learn by playing, and it's a game. So they feel that they are playing a game, but they're actually learning. So we have things like comparative texts, which you could do in the classroom. So like Alison said before, you know, you can have the two A3 sheets of paper and look about the mitzvahs of Shama and Zachar and what are related to Shabbat, and then they can go and do this at home that night to reinforce the learning. And those that don't do their homework, I guarantee you they'll do their homework that night. Okay? And we have the ability to monitor who's logged on and who hasn't logged on. It's inbuilt assessments. So every child makes their own books, and you can print it out. You can make a topic much easier to understand because it's very visual and there's sounds, and it really reinforces their learning in a much more animated and engaging way than just doing worksheets in the classroom. Now, I'm not saying that it should be instead of, as well as, so you should still be having your Shabbat table in the classroom. You should still be getting the children to do the actual real Shabbat, but this is an enhancement and can really, really help the children immerse in what they're learning. So what's happening by using things like tools like Shabbat Interactive is we're shifting from the Rebbe-style frontal teaching approach towards the role where the teacher becomes a facilitator. We're facilitating the children in their learning, and we're facilitating active learning. So every child is being involved, they're all using Shabbat Interactive, they're all going through the program at their own pace, and then the teacher comes in and helps them. Have you looked at this? Have you looked at that? Okay? Embed it with the practical activities, but you've got the structure. I'm going to show you now, this is a product that isn't out yet, but it's out soon, and how this correlates with free things that we have on our website, okay? So Sukkah Challenge, we spent a long time, almost a year, bringing this out, because we felt that Sukkot is a hug that's often missed because it's at the beginning of the year, very often we're not in school for it. There's very, very little time to teach it because you come back and it's Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and then Sukkot, and it's just very, very difficult to teach it, and it's very complex. You know, you can have Gemaras of Sukkot and the structure, and it's a very complex topic. So we chose Sukkot because we felt it was a subject that we felt has had a bit of a rough deal in schools. And we made it into a game. Now this has been specifically designed because we feel the elements of games with children really reinforces their learning. They don't feel that they're learning. There's been a lot of studies done about this. So this is not interactive, but it will be interactive, and the children have to earn coins. So again, it's giving them an incentive. And you've seen other models, I think if any of you went to the PowerPoint thing upstairs, that there's ways of designing games with incentives, and children love incentives. It's like a sticker chart. You don't actually have to give them any physical reward, but for some reason they love getting the stickers or they love getting the coins. These coins are not going to buy them anything, but believe me, my Talia is on here collecting her coins every day because it's very important for her to have her coins. Okay, so children love that element of reward, and what the aim of this is that they have to use coins. The coins are collected there to build a kosher sukkah. So every time they get coins, they can build things from the market to build a kosher sukkah. But they need to know what makes a kosher sukkah, and they have to go through all these tabs. Will teach them how a sukkah is kosher. So they have to do various tasks on each tab and find out what makes a sukkah kosher. So you can see, and it's all interactive, so you can size the sukkah, make it small or big, find out what a tefach is. You've got your pashat, if you just do pashat, or you've got your next level for Gemara and Mishnah. So again, this is really helping you do blended learning so easily, because you can say, okay kids, tonight, go online, do the sukkah game, do tab 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to learn about it tomorrow. Okay? So you're blending. There's not really much work in it for you to do other than to get them to play the game and reinforce the learning. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. So here, if I go here, and you can all do this on your device. If you go to www.jewishinteractive.net and you click on the educator zone, it will look like this. And I'm going to show you Sukkot. So I'm going to show you, this website is free. You can use it tonight, tomorrow, the next day. JewishInteractive.net. It's a free site. Everything that's on it is free. Sukkot is not out yet, but everything that's on it is free except for Shabbat Interactive. And I think Sukkot, you have to be a member to access it. But everything that you see on here, and there's lots and lots to help you teach. So if you click on Sukkot, can you see where I am? If you click on Sukkot, this is in the educator zone. So go to educator zone. I'll take you back out to show you where I am. So if you're at home.
Hannah, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
The Shabbat Interactive is more for younger years. The Sukkot thing looks more complicated. Are you targeting in Jewish Interactive all the age groups, or are they going to be for specific things?
We are focusing on primary school. All our products will have elements of Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. So, for example, even the Sukkot one, you don't even have to do any of the text. You could just build a sukkah, or you can just engage on the real Peshat level, and you don't have to access the Mishnah and Gemara.
So everything will have
a level 1 and a level 2. You'll see that now. Everything, not all of our products. Not all our products. We do have a few. Yeah. So some of our products will be for. Like, for example, we've got mitzvah hunts, and we've got I Thank You coming out. That's really for the younger years. You'll see as you play the products which ones will appeal to which audience, okay? Yeah. Yes. So, in order to access Shabbat Interactive, they will have a login. And so they log in, you'll see here. But to access the whole site, the general things, which I'm going to show you around the site now, is free. So if you're teaching Shabbat, you really want them to log in, because otherwise you're not going to be able to monitor who's using the site and who isn't.
How much is it from here?
It's £300 a year annually, which it's been heavily subsidised. It's actually really probably about £5,000 a school a year to produce, but we've had it heavily subsidised. Okay, so Sukkot. If you go to Educator Resources, if you click on Educator Resources, you will see there are resources there all about Sukkot. Now, this is for creation, correct? They're going to be making a PowerPoint about Rosh Hashanah. or they're going to be doing a video about their sukkah. How do we mark it? We're teaching how do we mark it. So we have also on our site a rubric for assessment of digital work. How do we assess what the children are learning? This could be a whole training session in itself. I don't have time to go into it. I'm telling you that it's there. Look at it. We've got a whole records sheet, and we have level descriptors. So here you can see digital. This is not a national curriculum. This is designed by Jewish Interactive. We had 2 professors from America that have given them their okay for this. They feel that it's very educationally sound. This is new. This is innovative. It's something that you will start to see happening in the new ICT computer science curriculum.
Your website.
This is all on our website, and you can level the children using these descriptors. So this is look. It is. So what are we doing saying that? You've got to do it.
Where is the high school?
Where's the high school seminar?
We haven't got dates for it. We haven't got dates yet.
What was your question?
How can you use this and blend it like us? How can you do blended learning?
Kind of 5 minutes, yeah?
Oh, definitely. Each one of them is supposed to be somebody who's we're supposed to think as well. We're supposed to think. And you tell me which one is what. Okay, so I'll take the tape out. I will make out on what the name is. Yes. That's a good one. And if you get one out by one, then you can see it. That's what you got. Okay, but that's what comes to you. What about the rest?
We're going to have to finish in a minute. I'm just going to leave you with this video for food for thought and just summarising what we're doing. But this is not the end. This is the beginning. So although this is the end of the lecture, it's the beginning of hopefully a learning relationship where we can help each other. So try things out, and if things don't work, please feedback to us. We're on GEDNet as a forum, so all of this will be on GEDNet for you to look at and go over again. All the links, the PowerPoint I will put up there so you can click on all the links and go through again. And again, at our offices, we offer free support. If you come to us for a drop-in, it's free. If we come to you, we charge. Okay, so if you want to, we had someone wanted just some stuff on Ivrit, or if you want to investigate a bit more about anything, come to our offices. If you're a member of Jewish Interactive, it's free. Otherwise, it's a small charge. It's in West Hampstead. Okay, so this is something I think very, very key for this whole conference. This pasuk that we know from Mishlei, I think it really, really resonates with all of us. We must remember, Chanoch lana al pi darko, that we have to educate the youth according to his way.
According to his pace as well.
Or her way.
Facilitated learning, whereby a teacher will facilitate the learning of the student. You guys are going to be detectives.
Philosophy of the Jewish Interactive Instructional